Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. I am well caffeinated, and I am also chugging a smoothie.
Yeah, I see that you have a giant blender. Then
Yes.
you're chewing the contents of that blender.
I'm
what's in
sort
there?
of chewing. They've been fairly pre-chewed. I have a Vitamix,
Okay.
which I recommend if you're into making smoothies on any somewhat regular basis. It's
For
like
good things.
Yeah, it's like, what if we put a motor that was insanely powerful on your blender? And
A jet
turns out
engine
the results
on a blender.
Yeah, it comes with this like ramrod that you stick down the top of the, like there's a hole in the lid, and you can just jam it down to like shove huge pieces of whatever into the blades. It's pretty amazing. It doesn't care. You can just throw whatever you want in there, and it's like, yeah, I'll chop that up.
Yeah. I've tried to do like a kale-based smoothie in a normal blender, and you get like quarter-inch size pieces. Like it just can't break it down enough.
Oh yeah.
So
No, I don't even take the leaves off the stem of the kale now, because it'll chew right through those. It doesn't care. I'm like, more fiber. Let's go.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to hear what's in my smoothie?
Yes, please.
This is the Rhonda Patrick micronutrient smoothie. She's like this nutrition expert that I'm really into. And it has some of the smoothie. This is basically her recipe. This is ground flaxseed. Flax milk is the liquid base. Then I have a tomato, avocado, spinach, kale, red chard, blueberries, carrot, and apple.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's a lot of ingredients, and that's a fiber bomb right there.
It is. It's like an everything bomb. So the goal of that, so her like design goal with this was to get you micronutrients like magnesium and other things, selenium, that are often deficient in American diets. So I kind of think of this as like, if I start my day with one of these, like I'm probably okay from that perspective. I'm going to try not to go eat crap after this, but it's a nice start.
There you go. Yeah. That's what I have this habit of like doing yoga in the evening and not eating before. And by the time I'm out of there, like I feel like I've worked so hard and I'm starving, and I've just like earned a nice cold beer, which is probably not what you should be doing right after.
Yeah. The beer appeals to me. Yeah. I sometimes get that beer craving after exercise too, but it's like alcohol is such a potent like testosterone suppressor. It's like the perfect anti-post-exercise drink. It's like, if you want to negate what you just did, you should definitely grab a beer.
Yeah.
But hey, that's all right. But yeah, she's great. I'm really into her stuff. If you Google her name, she has appearances on like Joe Rogan's podcast and like the Tim Ferriss podcast, and her stuff is just really interesting. If you're interested in the health and nutrition stuff, she seems to be like right at the cutting edge of it.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
I occasionally do the smoothie thing. It's usually a simpler recipe. I like some orange juice to sweeten it a little bit, and then like a banana and a handful of berries, and fill up the rest with spinach, and sometimes like flax meal or something like that. And I've started pre-packaging these and putting them in plastic containers and freezing them, because like if I get off on my cadence and I have like a whole thing of bananas, and then we're not eating bananas frequently enough, then they start to turn fast, So that's one way to like just like get a bunch of ingredients and then like pre-package them up, and then you just like toss it in the blender and blend it, and it's done.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Plus, you don't need ice then, I guess, at that point. You've already created the ice.
Yeah, right. It makes it, it gives it more structure because it's frozen. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So, how's work?
Works pretty good. Yeah. Things are busy as usual. I took a little time off last week to attend ElixirConf out in Seattle, which was fun.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was good. It was like a fairly large multi-track conference, which is a little different than the type of conference I typically attend, like MicroConf, that's smaller and has one track of speakers. I wasn't sure exactly what to expect from it. Yeah, it was a group of about 600 people, and it was fun to see. I wanted to get first of all a feel for the kind of the maturity of the Elixir community. Like, does it feel like there are a lot of people using it in production right now, or is it still a pretty early thing where people are kind of playing around with it on the side, or doing like, cool like toy projects with it and not really using it aggressively in production? Because that's one thing I'm considering doing is using more Elixir or starting to use Elixir on the drip side as we kind of split off different services and stuff. And I could definitely say like someone noted this, and I thought it was a good way to frame it. Like the conversation has switched over the last couple of years from have you heard of Elixir to are you using Elixir in production yet? Which I think is a good sign, and when they asked that on stage, like a good, I would say half the room raised their hand that they are using it in production in some form. And there was some good sponsorship, companies like Latote, the App Grinder, and a lot of these companies both sponsored and gave talks and kind of talked about their experiences using it in prod. Yeah, I can definitely say I feel confident that one, the language is definitely not going anywhere. There's a large community around it, and there's some pretty interesting use cases I got to hear about for using it at like high scale environments.
So impressive that language worked, like that Jose Valina made it happen. I feel like getting a language to start and like pass that critical mass in popular use, it feels to me intuitively like it's harder than building a company in some way.
Yeah, I would agree.
They're like the successes are so rare. Mm-hmm. Props to him for that.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's built on top of Erlang helped a lot because one of the design goals of the language was to make sure that it was fully compatible with Erlang. Like the goal is not to like provide a wrapper or an abstraction layer around all Erlang concepts. You can actually call Erlang directly from your Elixir code. And that's the recommended way to do it. Like if there's something already in the Erlang standard library that can handle what you need, like there's like a great cryptography package in Erlang, and you're supposed to just call the crypto, module to do that. And I think that's probably a wise way to do it, as opposed to like fully abstracting away the underlying VM. Just like leverage it and just add to it. And I think if you ever looked at raw Erlang code, it's pretty cryptic. Like I don't really know what I'm looking at, and so it's definitely not like a syntax that a lot of folks would particularly like. And so I think that's a big thing that Elixir solves, is just like making it more approachable to the masses.
I think that library, like making the underlying libraries accessible, it makes so much sense. Like the languages that seem to have come into popular adoption recently, I think they're all doing that now. Like starting from scratch is such a huge proposition that, like, if you think about like Clojure lets you use the Java stuff. Clojure Script lets you use JavaScript. Elm lets you use JavaScript. Like everyone's kind of realizing, I think, that starting purely from scratch is maybe just just stacks the deck against you even more.
Yep, totally. And I think one of the other cool things that came about from the conference that I realized was that the Erlang community is still vibrant. Like the language is still moving forward and actively maintained by the OTP team. And Jose talked about in his keynote some recent changes that was made to Erlang that is helping Elixir provide a better experience because they were able to submit a pull request to core Erlang language saying like, okay, if we could just store, instead of storing like the Erlang AST in the compiled bytecode files, if we could just store like any AST that ultimately compiles down into Erlang, then that'll give us a lot more power to provide like nice stack traces when things fail at the Elixir level. And, it still is compatible with standard Erlang Beam files or whatever. And that pull request was accepted. And so now the newest version of Elixir has like almost Elm-like exceptions. Like it's getting more towards that direction where it's like, okay, this function that you tried to call does not exist, or there was like no pattern that was able to be matched. And here's a list of all the, function definitions and all the patterns that could have been matched. And it just like provides so much more information because of a change that Erlang accepted allows Elixir to improve usability. So I thought that's really cool to see the two communities working together.
Yeah. That's great. So would you say you're at the point where if let's say you had to like restart drip tomorrow from scratch, would you reach for Elixir?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've seen Ruby operate at now at pretty high scale at drip. And I've seen just kind of like we've have to do what you typically have to do with Ruby is just throw more hardware at it. So, if we need to squeeze more performance out of out of our Ruby processes, we're generally just scaling out large fleets of servers, and like it's fascinating to see just the amount of like raw horsepower you can squeeze out of Elixir is really attractive. Like if we had a lot of Elixir in our backend, I think not only would it save our hosting costs, but it would I suspect it would be a lot easier to tune performance wise. So that's like one of my biggest draws right now, just because I'm feeling the pain of scaling a large Ruby application. And I think the tooling is getting pretty close to on par with the Ruby experience for a lot of things. Like Phoenix is an excellent framework that is much, much lighter weight than Rails, but offers most of the power that I care about in Rails. That's continuing to move forward, and I really like what I'm seeing there. So I think both the language and the tooling, those are two of the really important aspects for me. Is like I don't want to endeavor to use a language that doesn't have a good package ecosystem. And I'm seeing now like a lot of the problems that are solved in the RubyGem world are being solved in the Elixir package world too.
You mentioned using Elixir to like reduce costs, like hosting costs. Do you think about that much these days? Or do you think like, hey, we got to get our hosting bill down, or are you just trying to like keep the fires from burning?
Yeah, I would say it's still something that I try to think about. Like we are tracking our hosting costs now in actually in Prometheus in our stats tracking area. We have we're exporting our AWS bill so we can track it over time. But like one of the benefits of being at a funded company is like you can worry about that second. Like when the need arises to throw more horsepower at something to keep customers happy, like you can pretty much do it without too much pause. But I think, when things are calm, it is still probably good to go back and optimize. So like, for example, we've been heading into like using auto scaling groups to scale fleets of servers up and down depending on load on the system. And it's proving like really tricky to get the right algorithm nailed down to know exactly when the system should scale itself up and down. So in the meantime, we're just kind of having to leave things at the high bar, a high bar of what we may need. And then, eventually when we get around to it, I think of auto scaling as really a cost saving mechanism. Like you can reduce your usage at times when things are not busy. And you could push that even further and say like, okay, maybe we'll start looking at containerization and using Docker on the back end. And that just like the idea is it's going to squeeze more horsepower out of your underlying VMs that you're using. So that again is like also a cost saving mechanism. I think it's something we do want to think about. Like anytime you think like, we have enough money in the bank, we don't need to think about cost at all, then that's where you're going to get bitten, I think. But having some funding at least allows you to solve the problems first and then circle back on optimizing cost.
Do you have a sense of roughly how many servers you're running right now?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 servers.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
Depending
man.
on how you count it. I know. I used to hear those numbers like that a couple of years back when Drip was really small, and I heard about some like competitors and stuff talking about the size of their server fleets. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what it would look like for Drip to be there. And well, here we are. So
here you are.
Yeah.
I mean, congrats. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have when you need that many servers, I guess.
Yeah. Any other thoughts from ElixirConf you wanted to share?
Oh, one of my favorite parts about what's coming up in Elixir. So they shared, Jose shared kind of a near-term roadmap of things being added. And one of them is a code formatter that they're going to build.
I saw you tweet about that.
Yeah. They're going to bake it right into the core. And I love that.
So good. Yes.
You and I have talked a bit about Elm's formatter and how it just takes all thinking out of it. Like, yeah, you can construct your code however you want, but when you save that file, something, whether it's your editor or some other thing that's watching your files, should like get that right into the one and only way that Elm should be formatted. And I love that.
Love it. Just eliminate that conversation forever.
Yep.
Save everyone hundreds of hours.
Yep.
So good.
Even Jose was like talking about, at first he was not convinced. He was like, I don't know. Sometimes I want to be able to like force a space into this place or like tweak something so that it's a little bit more readable. He's like, but then He was like, I was looking at someone's code, and he like threw up some code on the screen. He was like, I saw a code that looked like this, and it totally offended my senses. And then you kind of look at like the standard way that everyone typically formats it, and it's like, yeah, we really should just be forcing it into the standard way. And like, maybe there are like a few times, like I've run into this in Elm as I play around with it. Like, there's a few times where I would want, like, oh, I want an extra line space there, but then it's like, does it really matter? It doesn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I think there's so much value to be gained, A, from not needing to have those conversations, but B, every time you look at somebody's code, it looks the same way. Like, it's got that familiar shape to it all the time, which would make it even more jarring if someone were doing something particularly weird. So it's like, why is this indented? Oh, because you're doing this bizarre, like you're dropping a lambda in there. Like, I think it would help you identify things that are extra weird.
Yep. And what I liked was that he basically has a preemptive pull request on the Elixir style guide repo that's supposed to go out when this gets done, and it just like cuts out 500 lines of style guide stuff, because he's like, yeah, all this stuff will be handled by the code formatter. There's still some things that won't, because it has to be, like, one of the design goals of it is to produce semantically equivalent code. So like, it can't, for example, rewrite if you camel case your variable names, it's not going to rewrite them to snake case, because that would change the underlying AST. So things like that will remain in the style guide, but he was able to eliminate a ton of it, because it's like, you don't even need to learn this really, because it'll just be forced into that format.
Yeah. Isn't that clearly correct, having a computer do that kind of thing?
I think
like,
so.
rather than forcing thousands of people to semi-manually do this stuff.
Yep.
Based on, probably vague instructions.
Yep.
Yeah. That's actually, I'm going to touch on that in a little bit, but
cool.
I've been thinking about that lately.
Yeah. What's new with you?
So, new with me. So I spent the last week I spent 10 days on Martha's Vineyard, which is an island off the coast of Massachusetts. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I have family there, so it feels extra like warm and welcoming, but also it just has this like really cool vibe to it. So there are basically no chain stores on the vineyard. There's a Dairy Queen and there's a Stop and Shop. And other than that, they're all local businesses. So there's like a really strong like entrepreneurship vibe on the island, and you tend to know people that run the businesses around you. And I think that it feels so good. I'm really into that.
So people live on this island, right?
Yep.
Is it like a lot of retired people, or is it a lot of like vacation homes, or what's the?
No, I wouldn't say it is a big retirement community, partly because it gets pretty darn cold in the winter. Basically, during the summer, there are about 100,000 people on the island, and during the winter, there are about 10,000. So it's a 10-to-1 swing on and off season, which is really interesting. So a lot of stuff shuts down or like operates on reduced hours during the off season. The sort of rhythm there seems to be you work like crazy during the summer, make all your money when there are people there, and then sort of just hole up for the winter and try to make it through.
Hibernate. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you imagine, like substance abuse is a big problem.
Yeah.
It's like they have like high alcoholism and things like that there, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I go a couple times a year, often in the summer, but sometimes off season as well. The off season is kind of nice. It has like a calm vibe to it. As you would imagine, when there's tons of people there, it's like a lot of traffic and everything is full. And it's nice to be able to go there when you can just get into stuff easily. It was a vacation, and it was actually a restorative vacation. Like, I've been on vacations where you're like trying like for an aggressive, interesting travel experience, and you come back and you're like, wow, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, those don't relax you.
Yeah, exactly. The vineyard for me is the opposite, because like I've been there a bunch of times. I know where everything is. There's like just no stress. And like I'm with my family. It just feels so nice to be there.
Yeah.
So I came back feeling great.
Nice. Sporting a little beard there.
Yeah, exactly. The vacation beard.
Yep.
It's going to go soon though. Having stuff on my face, just uncomfortable.
No, I know. I can never keep mine for long.
Yeah, I'm sure the listeners can hear it in my voice.
Sounds so much more distinguished.
Yeah, right, exactly. So let's talk refactoring Rails and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm committing to a launch date right now. I'm doing it.
Good. Do it.
October 16th.
All right.
Going live.
I'm writing this down. Can you hear my pen?
You put it on your calendar?
Yep.
Mark your calendars.
October 16th.
Come hell or high water, October 16th is the day. It's about a month from today. I mean, the bad news is that's still a month from here. I've been saying it'll be a month for a couple of weeks now, but at least now there's a line in the sand. And I'm actually speaking at 2 different conferences, maybe almost 3 before then. So like my travel schedule plus the stuff that remains to be done, it's a somewhat aggressive deadline, but I think it's a good mix of aggressive plus hittable. So I'll have to work harder than I would at a leisurely pace, but I think it's doable.
Okay, that's a good place to be in. Like if it was too easy, then I would say move it up, but it sounds like it's in that sweet spot. So
yeah, if I didn't have to craft some conference talks and travel and stuff, it would be, I'd say, easy. But with those, I think it will be a challenge. So I sent a survey out to a portion of my list about what additional things I should make for the premium tier. And the data I got back was, I put a couple options and left some open-ended responses too. And the data I got back was kind of like people wanted me to do the things that were going to take me the most time. Was like where the most support was. Like all the easy stuff, people were like, it doesn't sound that interesting. But the hard stuff, that'd be great. Like the overwhelming thing was like people wanted to watch me TDD a Rails app from scratch. And they were like, I'd love to see like how like once it gets complex, you start like needing to add certain things and weigh different things in your mind. And I was like, I would need to build a huge Rails app to start hitting these complexities. And so I think I'm going to flip-flop back and just say like, there's going to be one tier. I think I'm realizing I'm not that interested in optimizing for money, honestly. Like it matters, but at the same time, it's just not the most, like, to me, that's not the most valuable part of doing this. I'm learning a lot by creating this course and having interesting experiences. And that's kind of what I want more than like X thousand versus X plus whatever thousand.
Yeah. What kind of sample size did you have on that survey?
It's a good question. I sent it to like 120 people and got like 15 responses or something.
Okay.
So maybe not best to draw a conclusion from that.
Yeah, I would say like, so there's the people express wanting the hard things. Then you said there are some easier things that you thought about packaging up as the premium tier. Are those easy things accomplishable enough where you think it might be worth just like putting that together and putting it out there and just like, if someone happens to buy it, then great, and maybe it won't fly off the shelves, but.
Yeah, God damn it. It probably is. Yes, you're probably right. Man, it's so funny. It's funny working in out loud or like in public like this, because I feel like I have this like natural urge to like be consistent with things I've said before. But I don't know if it's a strength or a weakness, but I tend to like it's probably mostly a weakness, go back and forth between things. It's like I have like grass is greener syndrome probably pretty hard.
Yeah, I think we all do to a certain extent. And you've thought about this sufficiently long where it feels like the path forward's not clear and it's not seeming like it's going to be worth it. So why invest the time to do that, right? Like, yeah.
And I'm like a little bit in the mode where I'm like, I don't want to make more video content at this point.
Yeah,
I want to turn my attention to the other stuff. And so,
I don't know. What are some of your easy, quote unquote, easier things you've thought of to do for the premium tier?
So one is the source code for the examples. So like I have like maintained branches for like, here's the before, here's the after. You can run a diff yourself. You can see the commit history that I took to like build up the sample. The other is like including source code of like briefs or trail mix, the side project I have, and like do like a walkthrough of that and talk about some design decisions. Doing a tour of an open source Rails app and point out some like highlights and lowlights and things like that. None of those would be like super hard, but also those are the ones that people were like, meh, sounds okay. Although again, like 15 responses, not like maybe a super good indicator.
Yeah. The code for that follows along with your videos, that would be like almost no effort, right? Because you have those already in Git.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I would at least do that as like a second tier. Yeah.
Okay. I had been thinking about like, okay, if I have one tier at like, say, $100, tier 2 should be like twice as much. So how do I add a ton of value onto the base tier? But maybe I do something like that and just make the tiers closer together.
Yeah. I don't think it has to be double. I think it could be like 100 and 150 or something like that, where it's like an extra $50, you get the source code.
Yeah, that's probably a really good idea. I
mean,
like
and maybe like you highlight that as like the recommend. Like, I don't know what your grid's going to look like, but like that's like the one you recommend because it has the most value. And then if people are feeling cheap, then they step down to your 100. But like to cap it at $100, I don't know. I think you might be leaving money on the table. And yeah,
if I did just the source code, that's basically zero work. It's like a little bit more complexity in like building the tiers and things like that, but that's hardly worth caring about.
Yeah. It's like almost zero work for you, but it is, I feel like it's quite a bit of value. It's a value add to be able to have the actual code, you know?
Right. And like that option didn't perform super well in the survey, but some people did like that. Like to some people, that was the most interesting option. And so those are the people that opt into the higher tier, and cool. Like good for them. They get value. They pay a little bit more for it. All right. I'm flip-flopping back.
Okay.
Damn it. I need to edit everything. All right. Go back and edit that part where I said I wasn't going to do it. I guess, yeah. Hopefully the thought process is valuable to people to hear. Even though
I think it is. I think it is because
vacillating.
Well, this is not a total vacillation because I agree that to increase the scope even further and take on more video content at this point, I would say like not worth it. You need to ship, you know. Like I think it's important to just get it out the door at this point. But since there does appear to be an option that's like almost no effort, then I would, that's where I recommend.
Okay.
Putting it out there.
All right, I'm into that.
Sweet.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
I'm glad we chatted that through. All right, so other stuff. I am within a hair's breadth of hiring a designer to help me build a logo and the sales page, and possibly the video bumpers as well. I have a proposal for that, so I think I'm just going to sign it. So that's close, and we're getting there.
How'd you find this designer?
I asked. So I reached out to Steve Shoger. Is that how you say his name? I don't. Yeah, that I know through Adam, and he was busy, but he said
his stuff is so good. By the way, he puts out a lot of great design tips on Twitter.
Yep, totally. Yeah. And now he's building some sort of info product or something. Mm-hmm. So sort of what's it called? Refactoring UI, I think it is.
Okay.
So which makes sense. Like every time he tweets that stuff, I'm like, this is so good. It's so clear. He's like, here's the before. Like, here's a principle. Here's a before. Here's an after. And like, it's like, oh yeah, that's night and day. I love it.
Yep.
So yeah. So I trusted his recommendation, and so he gave me the name of somebody. And if I do work with this person, I'll share that person's name.
Cool.
But so I think I'm just gonna trust his judgment.
Yep. Referral is usually a safe way to go.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
And our conversation seemed good. This person seemed like he knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Good.
And so I guess that's it on the course. And then I have some upcoming speaking gigs.
Is this part of your Ruby tour, or are these additional?
It's sort of is and it sort of isn't. These actually got set up before I knew I was doing the Ruby tour. So one of them I'm definitely not going to be talking about this course. Because there's a theme to the conference. So the first one is Rocky Mountain Ruby in Denver, which is on September 29th.
Mm-hmm.
And the theme of the conference is trust. And so I'm going to be talking about how type systems help you trust your code is the sort of rough summary.
Okay.
So Jeff Casimir is running this, and he reached out and said, do you want to talk about how you can trust your refactorings? And I was like, how about I talk about how computers can actually help you trust what you're doing is correct.
Nice.
And the angle on that is going to be basically my experience using Elm. And in particular, I recently did a thing where I wrote the same program in Elm and ClojureScript, and one has a type system and one doesn't. And there were like really interesting pros and cons to that. And so I'm going to basically distill that into the talk, I think.
Nice. And this is a Ruby conference. So is this going to get people more excited or less excited about Ruby, you think?
Spoiler alert, probably less excited.
Yeah.
I guess we'll sort of yes and sort of no. I mean, if this were a JavaScript conference, it would get them less excited about JavaScript. But I would say that Elm and Ruby don't really compete head to head.
That's true. Yeah.
So I don't think it will really dissuade them from using Ruby in the short term. But I'm kind of hoping that people will realize in the long term that I'm hoping they'll agree with me that the future of writing correct code is having computers help you write correct code.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Cool.
we'll see.
Nice.
And then I'm speaking at Nashville Ruby 1 week later, which is in, guess where?
Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville. Have I been to Nashville? Maybe once. I think for that conference, I'm going to try to give a talk that's about refactoring Rails. Because they don't have a theme beyond Ruby. So that will be, I think, the debut of that talk.
Cool.
Yeah. And the week after that, Boulder Ruby.
Nice.
So yeah. So those are like those three, actually, yeah. So there's 3 speaking gigs before the course goes on sale. Mm-hmm. And I'll be writing 2 talks, 2 separate talks. So there is some time pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure is real.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm going to do it.
So, in your talk writing process, at this point, how many hours do you think it'll take you to write those talks?
The Rails refactoring one, I think will not be too bad because I can basically slice pieces of the course out and patch them together and have a good talk with live coding, which I think will be cool. The Elm one, since it won't be live coding related, I think will also be fairly quick because it's going to be mostly slides. And I found that like a slides talk I can usually get together quite quickly. So I don't know. We'll see. 20 hours each, 30 hours each, somewhere in there.
Yeah. That's good. Well, you've done it enough where it's like, for me, if I were giving talks and also trying to march towards a launch deadline, I would probably be really stressed because like with anything that I'm not super comfortable with, I usually over prepare and then like I end up spending way more time than I think on prep, which could bleed into other things. So
I think I'll be a little stressed. I think it'll be a challenge to do all these things and hit that deadline and do the travel and all that. But
yeah,
I kind of want a little stress at this point. I've been taking the lower stress option for a little while now.
Yeah,
but it's time to, I think, accelerate and ship the damn thing.
Yep, I like it.
Yeah. So I think that's it for me.
Cool. I think I'm good for this week as well.
All right, man. Well, it's good chatting with you.
Yeah, you too.
Have a good week.
You as well.
So if you'd like to access the show notes for this episode, you can go to artofproductpodcast.com. I forgot what this was called for a second. And we'll see you next week.